I welcome everybody today on Rain or Shine. And I welcome the few people who are live with us. And I am happy to have other people listening to us on our podcast channel and watching us on our YouTube channels. So that's great too. I have the great pleasure today to welcome Catalina Gutiérrez. You can definitely correct my bad Spanish accent.
Perfect.
Let's say it was perfect. And it's a funny story because we already had in French Pierre Fargeton, who is your partner in life and in crime, at least in business, let's say. And we had a conversation in French about it, but in his story, something changed his life. And sometimes in a man's life, it's when you meet a woman, and I guess that woman is you. And it's great to have your side of the story, because your side is very special, because we talk about your life and your trajectory also with coffee, but you are a Colombian national, and you wanted to it was very strong in your heart to work with coffee also in Colombia. So I'm very pleased to have you today, Catalina.
Thank you so much. No, I'm really happy to be here. I think this idea of being able to communicate to everyone, especially now in difficult times, I think is the only way that we can improve many things. So for you guys in Europe, for us as the bridge, and the farmers as well, especially for the farmers, yeah.
Especially for the farmers, it goes back to them eventually. That's the main objective, and I suppose it's also the sort of the value you wanted to bring into your work as well, and how you wanted to work with coffee after everything you started with coffee. So maybe we can learn also a little bit about you, and you grew up in Colombia. That's right.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I grew up in Colombia. I did all my education in Colombia. I am a industrial designer, and then I flew to London, and in London I became a graphic designer. But when I finished, I was thinking about coffee already, and I wasn't sure if I want to employ myself in design or move into coffee. So it wasn't a starting point, or whether I take the decision to build a career in an art industry, or focusing on learning business in coffee. So I did a bit of both.
How come you were already interested in coffee? Like, did you have family working in coffee? Ooh.
No, but I kept, long generations behind, like great grandparents, they were farmers, coffee farmers, but I didn't have a direct connection.
Catalina, I'm sorry, but I think I have to stop, because the connection is rather bad, and I can't really like listen clearly to what you say.
Do you think it's my connection?
Let's see. It's ici ça marche bien. Ah, ok. Ici aussi, c'est plutôt moi. Ah, maybe it's my connection, which would be really bad. Let's see. Wow. Okay. Okay. Maybe it's on my side, unfortunately. Hopefully it will turn better. I just because I'm on a temporary sort of 4G key, but I moved it really close to my computer. I'm very sorry about these guys. Maybe it was at the very start of it, so we can easily go back to the start and make this happen again.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be. It should be good now. I have I have 3 green bars, and yeah, okay. Everybody in the chat says it's okay, so it'd be better. Okay, so that's my second clap. And I'm very pleased to welcome everybody. We have a few people in the chat, so thank you for being here, guys. people from France. I see people based in UK as well. So that's awesome, and maybe even further away. And to the people who listen to us afterwards on podcasts and watch us on YouTube, thank you. And you can of course share everything that we do on Rain or Shine with your friends. I have a great pleasure today to welcome Catalina Gutiérrez, who is live from Bogota, Colombia. And it's the second leg of the story with Cata Export, because we already had a conversation in French with Pierre, who is the partner in life and business that Catalina has. And somewhere in the story of Pierre, he met a woman and that changed his life. And that woman is Catalina.
Yeah,
and it's great to have you.
We'll focus on business mostly. We are great friends, and through exporting, it's been like an amazing path with him. He got involved recently with us, and it's just been great to have him. It's been huge help, especially with the French industry. It's been amazing.
Great, awesome. So we will hear your side of the story this time, and it's you are the woman behind Cata Export. Cata, definitely, it's easy to understand. It comes from your name, so that's it comes from your heart as well, and it's your idea and life story and decision, I suppose. So can you tell us a little bit about you and where you come from, and I suppose from Colombia, but did you already have some connection with coffee when you were in Colombia and when you grew up there?
Yes. So we Colombians drink a lot of coffee, and when we go abroad, people relate to us and start conversations with many topics. Some topics are not very positive, as our history. Some other topics are super positive, and coffee is one of them. So when I was studying graphic design in London, I wasn't sure if I wanted to work in design or focusing on coffee. And I got really interested about coffee because people kept on asking me if I was Colombian, why I didn't work in coffee, or people were engaging in the coffee conversation. I guess it's the same with wine for French people. So, but the difference is that French people really understand the market, and many French people usually work in vineyards and are more connected to the industry. But here in Colombia, we are incredibly proud about coffee, but we don't know much about it. So I thought exporting was really easy. And I thought, yes, I graduated design. I'm Colombian. We know everything about coffee. Let's export. And I quickly realized that it wasn't that straightforward. So I had to stay in Colombia for 6 months, and I did my specialty coffee training with the only company that can certificate SCA in Colombia, which is called Amor Perfecto.
All right. Yeah, it's well famous.
Yes, and with them I did my barista training, and then a bit of roasting as well with them. Then I went back to London to try to promote what I wanted to sell, but I realized I needed more skills on cupping, and I didn't know the industry in London. So I gave up my graphic design job and focused full-time on coffee. And that involved another type of salary. It wasn't that easy because I didn't have the barista skills behind the bar. One thing is when you do a certification and study for a few months. Another thing is when you actually have to be behind the coffee bar and do customer service at the same time and all of that. So the London industry is very tough. It's not that you can get a job easily and from that job learn your skills. You have to actually fight for it. So I had 4 or 5 jobs where I trained myself as a barista for about 3 years. and then started getting more specialized in the specialty industry, and I felt more. I grew as a barista in London that way. And then I forgot about exporting for a while because it was a long journey. It's like doing the university through experience. So yeah, I'm really grateful for everyone that helped me in London and all the jobs I had and the experience I was able to achieve through that. If I didn't have my barista jobs, I wouldn't be able to become an exporter or to do anything else.
So you're saying that you became more and more familiar with specialty coffee as your experience grew. Like your first job as a barista was not necessarily in a place where they served specialty coffee, or did you sort of climb up the chain of specialty coffee following your different positions?
Yeah, so the first places I tried to get into, it was small cafes that that were focusing on food mostly, and they had accounts with specialty coffee roasters. So learning about how to manage a coffee shop and the whole thing about a cafe, and that was a good starting point to be able to perform better as a barista and to learn the whole thing. Yeah, but these companies weren't offering me something really precise. That I had to go step by step. And then I had the great opportunity to work for a roaster called Nude Coffee Roasters, based in Shoreditch in London. And there we had the time to cup coffee once a week, and to talk about purely the topic, and that was a good move.
It's a great place for those who know and who have been to the London Coffee Festival. It's right next to the venue, so it's super easy to go and visit Nude from there. And so you, how long did you stay with Nude?
With Nude, I think I stayed only 6 months, I believe. But very quickly had the opportunity to join an even better company, which is called Roslin, run by James Hennebury and Matt Russell. They're an amazing business couple that allowed me to actually focusing on the bigger picture of specialty coffee. They are really specialized in many ways. It's not just the quality of the coffee and the great connections within the industry, but also customer service and other values that go beyond that.
Yeah, what is the what is the bigger picture? As you said, like what did they have in addition to all the others that really made a difference for you and that touched you?
Well, as an employee, as a barista, I think for the first time, is the first company that actually pays the London living wage salary, and that actually they focus on specific training, but the training goes beyond teaching skills. They are more about people. And I think many people in the coffee industry miss that point. Coffee is all about people, and learning that part with them allows me to create the right connections with what I have now. I think Matt does a great job within the shop as a barista trainer, as a, like working every day with Matt Russell was like really, really incredible for me. But on the other hand, from James Hennebury, learning other values makes a big point on what specialty coffee is. And through all of those connections that I could build through that brand, through Roslin, I felt that it was like a big step in my coffee career as a barista to jump into becoming an exporter. So, for instance, I think if it wasn't for Roslyn, Roslyn allows me to be more stable to do this. And it's not only because James and Matt, but also we had great customers there that connected me to start selling coffee straight away when I moved to Colombia to export. And so, yeah, my first sale was to a roastery called Cooper's in London, in the UK. And Cooper's is a roastery, and the head roaster from this place used to go to Roslyn very often, and we were engaged in conversations. And his dad had a South American connection, and we spoke in Spanish very often. And it became it became every day. It became more about not I'm going to Roslyn to drink coffee, but I'm going to Roslyn because it makes me feel good. The baristas there really makes me feel welcome, becomes like a family, becomes like an everyday thing that you want to be part of. And so through these customers, as soon as I start doing my exporting thing, they were full on supporting me and making sure they could purchase coffee from me. That was our great starting point. Again, for instance, when we were in the London Coffee Festival a few years ago, I was working behind the Roslyn Coffee Bar, and everyone comes from different countries to try Roslyn coffee, and you get involved in certain conversations that proved great business at the moment now. One example of that can be Mock Roasters in Belgium.
In Brussels, yeah. Very good.
I met Mock through Roslyn in that festival. He loved the espresso, he loved the coffee. We were talking about what we had in the espresso machine that day, which was a Guatemalan coffee. And a few months afterwards, he was purchasing green coffee from Cata Export.
Okay, so when was the trigger in your head when you knew that you were going to create a business company to export coffee? Because you had this in mind before, and then it left, and then you had when you were somewhere at Roslyn, you decided that yes, it was going to happen.
I had was I working at Roslyn and other companies before. I was traveling already to Colombia to learn about processing and to understand all the little tasks that make a difference in the specialty industry through the Colombian harvest. Once I felt that I understood that, then the next step was to understand where you wanted to contribute to farming. So the first thing we wanted to do was to focus in on those regions that produce great coffee but are not well known. To focus on these farmers that have a lack of financial help, the farms that are really vulnerable, but the people are doing good things. So I was planning all of this many years behind. And then whilst I was working at Roslyn, I realized that was the right jump because for personal reasons, I also had to move to Colombia, and I was applying for jobs with exporters, with importers. I definitely want to find a path in the green industry, but because I didn't have an experience in it was just the personal work I was doing for myself. It was very complicated to get one of these big companies to employ me. So I started exporting through my brand straight away. It was a big challenge because most of my good friends and many people from the industry were telling me that was the wrong move. I was taking the hard path rather than achieving things from experience through another job. But
what would they say was the wrong move? What would they say was the wrong move? What are you expect it to be a difficult tasked to open a coffee export company. But specifically, what are the biggest difficulties?
Because you have all of these big exporters addressing many important issues in the green industry, like the sea price. And I had more knowledge on the other side of the industry, which is the trade in Europe. So I had many close friends asking me, how are you going to trade against the sea price, and how are you going to build some values when you are an expert in the other side of the industry. And they were completely right. I knew it was going to be a big challenge, and going through there are many aspects that you need to look after before. How are you going to look after the farmers, the producers? How are you going to look after the quality of the actual product? And how are you going to make sales if you don't know no one really? So matching all of these three topics is really controversial. It's not as easy as that. Because you like coffee and you've been a barista, you can export coffee like that. It's not that straightforward. So it definitely was a challenge. But we were really lucky to be able to connect with people so quickly and to settle things down. I think it's been so fast, and we weren't expecting this to go that fast.
Because you do need customers. I'm curious, like, how did you approach the farmers, especially if you started to approach them a few years ago already? How could you say, like, I'm going to come back, but we don't, maybe in a few years time, and I'm going to find you customers? Like, what would you say to them to have, to make sure they knew you were on their side?
We traveled the whole country, and we understood how each region works, and the politics behind it, and other things that are really important to know per region, and then what kind of profile each region produces. Then it was a matter of like traveling, knocking doors, knocking into the farms and saying, this is me, I want to try your coffee. And it was literally like that. So you connect with one, and this one connect with two, and it becomes like a big network of farmers that do a specialty coffee that want to talk to you. So we grow this network really quickly, but this is not enough, because consistency is very difficult to find. A consistent farmer is very complicated to find. So we thought that the first step was to build a coffee lab, where we can actually follow up each farmer we thought had potential, week by week and month by month. And once we really understood the way they ferment, the way they dry, the actual coffee farm production within the farm, was really key to select the coffees. So yeah, basically a coffee lab was the most important move we did in order to guarantee quality.
Can you tell us a little bit of the timeline? When did you fly back to Colombia to set up the company, and when did you start the lab? It's very recent, right?
Yes, we started only 14 months ago. It's very soon. And when I started, I never thought I was going to export anything in the first 6 months. I was just preparing the right documentation, trying to work with the Colombian Coffee Federation to allow me to have my exporter ID. All of these documents take time, and it's not that easy. So I thought I'll take my time to really understand how each step works, choosing the right companies that I was going to work with, to do the transport and logistics. And so kind of like to understand how well organized I should be, and to draw like a map of exporting, because exporting is like a number of details, like it's too many details, and each detail has an incredibly high expense, money wise, that you need to create like a knot, and then knot after knot until you have a really solid structure. So I thought that was going to take me perhaps a year, but I got people ordering coffee straight away. So I didn't have the chance to take my time to do this. It was like learn now, do it now, people are ordering. So the first orders we did it by plane. They were super expensive, and whilst we were learning how to actually do shipping through sea. So yeah, and it's funny because each exportation we were doing at the beginning, it was like a little challenge that we kind of like could handle, despite of not being a really solid exporter. And little by little, the volume started increasing, and we kind of like were doing these baby steps, but we never felt insecure about exporting with each client. Like very quickly, this is growing, but each month, each week, the consolidation with the farmers, the consolidation with the clients in Europe is growing in a good pace, fast, but in a pace that we feel confident to handle.
So the situation took you in a very fast track, much faster than you thought it would be, but you managed to handle the challenges with the first orders, and now you feel comfortable with the way it increases. That's great. That's great news, because you didn't have to wait at all. And I suppose the administrative hassle is something that would first stop people from doing this sort of business, because I suppose it demands a lot of patience and a love for details also, and a lot of paperwork, because not much is digital. But Pierre was mentioning that some things changed because of the lockdown, and because people finally discover that we have to turn to digital, or else nothing works. So is it the case? More and more things are becoming that way, and it makes your life a little bit easier?
Yes. For instance, like in England, I never had to think about going to the bank. I had my bank app, or doing shopping online, or we can easily avoid to go to the supermarket and do our grocery shopping online. Here in Colombia is not the case. So getting ready all the banks, or all the immigration agents or other people to connect to make this happening is really complicated. But it's improving little by little, and we are trying to take advantage of that. But it's with more patience. You need to adapt a lot. So I think this year we have built another type of personality or behavior towards sales, towards trading, towards other things, because because things don't work as easy as in Europe. But still, like it's been much better month by month, and yeah, we feel really fully supported by our clients in Europe. So when we have certain issues here in Colombia, I give an example of, I hope he's listening today, the owner of La Presco. He's called Razvan. La Presco is a big coffee roasters in Romania. and we haven't met, and he got in touch through our website and Instagram. And he is incredibly relevant in the specialty scene in Romania. When you talk about specialty coffee, people talk with great pride about Australia, the UK, America, other countries, but there are other countries that are very new, and Romania is very new in the scene, but is becoming incredibly relevant. And when we met Razvan and we started talking about trading coffee with him, for us, it was huge, the support and the trust we felt from him without knowing him. And through the exportation, we had an issue that we weren't expecting to have. We went with one company at the end of the transportation, very close to Romania, and we were working so hard to solve all of these issues. Sometimes you felt helpless, but having the support from the client and work as a team with the client was really huge for us. He travels everywhere. Razvan is been in Guatemala, in many countries, so he understands how the green industry works. And he is really keen to contribute to our projects with our producers, and he is really keen to contribute with our values. So he understood that getting involved in direct trade was hard. So going through this with his help is being incredible, is being amazing. And this is just one of the many examples we had in the past. We have had great experience again with the owner of Mock in Belgium, with Jen. Jen is being again, when you trade with us, you become like a part of our family. So with Jens from Mock, it was like an everyday conversation through the direct trade. So we were sharing videos with him from the farm, from the Halling Center, from the port. He was really involved, basically as if he was with us here in Colombia. And he opened up a platform where many people started talking about us in Belgium, in Holland, and other countries. And very soon, through this experience with Jen and how well he communicates what we do here, we started selling coffee like crazy through it. So a challenge or a new experience, or everything that you are going through direct trade becomes relevant. But it's just because the support you have through our clients in Europe, basically.
And I suppose it's much easier. Again, we're talking about digital, but before, I suppose you use WhatsApp, but before there was no WhatsApp, and I suppose the communication was much harder, or you could not communicate the same way, because you're saying that you can share easily a video of every step of the coffee bean. It's great for your customers out there, because they can follow your work directly and be sort of engaged in the work as well. So it's not a really direct trade, because you're there and still an intermediary, but they feel very close to them, because you keep the communication very very open and very transparent. And I suppose that's what they are looking for, because they understand that the direct trade is just too complicated for them. Is that right?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. WhatsApp makes an everyday communication very simple. You don't feel that you are long distance, and it doesn't, you can trust, you can quickly make a phone call. And another important tool is definitely Instagram. Like you are knowing what others is doing every day. And then that connects us with many industries in different places. For instance, at the moment, we are getting great connections with Russia, and all the work is being done through Instagram. So this is another important tool we are very happy to work with.
Excellent. It's sometimes we think it's only to, it's just like a usual normal like social network communication tool, but it definitely, even if you're on the other side of the world and exporting coffee bean, it is an essential tool. And I suppose like more you maybe do you talk to the farmers you work with and say like maybe it's also a good thing for you if you're not really already into social networks? Do you maybe like sort of try to talk them into opening up an Instagram account or something like this?
We try to do that, but a big percentage of farmers don't even use a smartphone, and the connection is not really great at the farms. The Wi-Fi connection is sometimes terrible in the capital, in the big cities, so becomes even more difficult in the countryside. But I think it's really important to address the input that the young farmers are doing at the moment, and one of the big things that these young farmers are doing is to be connected with Instagram and these tools. Definitely, we at Cata Export we try to support all of these young producers because this is the only way to grow. So they use technology and at the farm they roast. And they guide their parents, and they are more willing to learn how to cup, to try their coffees. So it's great to have to be able to work with them to make things better and more global.
Yeah, it's a help in communication for sure, and it's even like a step closer to the everyday what's going on in the farm, and we can all learn from that if we have the right connections. How many farmers do you work with at the moment?
We have a team around 35 producers, mostly from Huila, Tolima, Risaralda, and Quindío. But we are really well connected in Huila, and we love to highlight this region because the production is huge. The commitment to get into a specialty is incredible. They have a better understanding of the specialty industry.
Okay, so that's one requirement. Like if when you try to find a new partner, a new farmer to work with, what are you looking for, and what are the go-to and the don't go to?
I think is to understand how they project, because for instance, one of our favorite farmers is called Nestor Lasso. He's only 21, his brother is 23, and they are fully supporting their dad. The farm is a new is a farm that really needs help in order to produce a right the right infrastructure to be very efficient. But even though they don't have that infrastructure, they are producing one of the most special coffees that I have ever tried. They're really well connected, as you mentioned. They use technology to connect with well-known farmers like Mauricio Chata, like Finca La Esperanza or Finca El Paraíso. They connect through social media with these farmers. They get great support. They work really hard in order to communicate and find people like me. You find these guys cupping at the Halling centers or the cooperatives. You get that they're very committed to the job. And when you see that, when we're doing our trips and you constantly keep seeing these kind of people, we are really attracted to them, and we want to connect with them. And sometimes it happens. In this case, it happened like that with Nestor. We didn't try his coffee, but we liked him so much, and we knew his coffee was going to be great. And it was. And then we visit his farm, and he was processing naturals, and he had his special methods of production, and he's super creative. And and you think, gosh, I want to support these kind of people. And it becomes one of the best sellers in Europe. So I started thinking, what is the right strategy to push this coffee into Europe? How can I make this happening for him? And yeah, now we are really proud to sell his coffee into Mock in Belgium, to have his coffee in Colonna in the UK, with La Fresco in Romania, big roasteries that are supporting what we see in the farmers.
Great. Okay, it's a success story. How would you explain that he has such good coffee? Was it just through the different advices that he learned, and because they're, as you said, they're really committed, and so they have an open mind, and they are okay to learn from whatever they see or they hear around them, and they apply it. So how would you explain it?
I describe it in two. One, they are little science, basically. You go into their farms and they go from explaining the microorganisms they use to feed the plants. So it's not a certificate organic farm, but they really research on how actually produce a great tree. And this is a topic that goes on and on and on, and they talked with great passion. And then when they talk about processing coffee, they have a great research from the big farmers that are already producing great stuff. So these guys are not experimenting for the sake of it. They are big researchers. And the other thing is, like, you hear one story, you visit a farm, you feel connected, you really have great passion now to help these guys. But now is a part of us as an exporter to really guarantee quality and to really see if this can work, not for one exportation and one harvest, but actually we need to value in reality how consistent these guys can be. So we as an exporter, as a quality controllers, you really need to start a process at the lab. It takes weeks, it takes months to really to see if they have the potential that you need, and these people meet the both requirements.
Okay, so you were mentioning that they need help at the farm level, but also through your quality control lab, you can follow them and follow the production, how it goes. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you get regular samples throughout the harvest seasons, and what are you looking for, and how do you communicate with them to keep that consistency going, and I suppose in the long term as well, in the next harvest season?
So we have a sampling plan, and is like every month. So from the farm, let's say each farm has a pink bourbon, a geisha, and they have maybe half a hectare piece of land to produce those, and then they have the 80% of the land to produce traditional varietals, and for each varietal they have a different way of processing. So first of all, I go to the farm and I analyze what they've got on land and how they produce, and from that I cap everything once, and then I choose my 3-4 favorites that I think we can work with. And from this, I start doing a chase up month by month, with the samples they provide. And through these samples, we try the samples in parchment, we try the samples in green, we try the sample this month and next month and in 3 months and 6 months to see how it behaves, the quality of the coffee. And we are starting doing that from the beginning, very carefully, per each coffee, per each farm. So that means we are every day cupping constantly. Our weekends, which we are not behind the computer, we are constantly roasting and cupping, and then the phone communications about what's going on in the farm and how the harvest is going, and then securing the volumes we need. So yeah, it's an everyday thing that you need to have, but we do it with a lot of we plan quite a lot. So the farmers that want to follow our system, which is most of them, are really grateful because the farm is benefiting. They are having constantly a feedback.
Yeah.
And yeah, and again, mentioning again Razvan from Romania and the other clients, we get specific feedback from these clients, and this goes straight away to the farm. So, like if the quality change negatively, positively, is even better, and we feel this and that, and what can we improve? We put it straight in the farms, and we also have people that help us, consulting us, because we are not agronomists. But when we are capping and when we are analyzing the grain, we can see the problems at the farm. So then we have some agronomists in place, specialized purely in coffee, and they say to us, yes, there is a problem because of rain or because of magnesium on this and that. So we are advising constantly the farmers through an agronomist point of view all the time.
Okay, so if we take a look at your actions, you look for customers for sales, but you're looking for quality control and making the connections with the consultants. You buy the parchment coffee, is that right? So you have to use a mill to transform the parchment coffee into green coffee and put it in bags, and then you manage the logistics to transport and to your end customers. Am I missing something? I suppose I miss a lot, but how do you deal with the rest? Is there other aspects that I'm completely missing?
No, you're right. So basically, what Cata Export does is, that's why we're based in Colombia. We can't be based anywhere else at the moment as a new exporter. So yes, we analyze the coffee from parchment, and we buy it in parchment. And then we take the coffee into a specific hulling center purely for specialties. When it comes to hulling coffee, you really need to understand how the coffee was fermented or what process is it, honey or a natural, and then you really adapt to it. Not many hulling centers in Colombia really understand that. And you need to have your own lab and other labs that are certificated that really support us. And what I mentioned, the agronomist, and it's a big team involved. But yeah, we are in every single step. So when we hull the coffee, we talk directly with the client about what kind of selection the client needs. So for instance, for Kelowna in the UK, we went up to 0 defect, which was really tough selection that you go from selecting by pixel, by color, by density, and finally by hand. And then we are really specialized on selecting coffees for the specific need. And then, for instance, if it's a coffee for a competition, if it's, it depends on where the market for that coffee that we work, the hulling. And then we have to go through the packaging. Packaging is a really important topic before looking after the rest, the transport and the exporting itself. So designing the right packaging for it is key. and then we are following the transport from port step by step until it arrives to the destination. We usually work DDP, which is the Incoterm for delivery duty paid, which means the roaster, the client roaster won't go to port and won't have to do any other extra admin or payments. The coffee will arrive straight away to the roastery. And Cata Export is pretty much involved in everything.
Yeah. So you say that, for example, Razvan, he wanted to be involved and be able to help the farmers also. So how can a roaster, a client of yours, can, except in buying the coffee, which is, I suppose, the most important thing he can do to help the farmers, but how else can a roaster be involved and help the farmers?
Yeah, so we have different projects that allows the roaster to help. And before doing that, we provide a transparency report for everyone, for every single coffee, for every single volume or farmer. And our transparency report is provided to the client in the UK or in Europe or wherever the coffee goes to, and also to the farmer, because usually the farmers don't ask for that, and don't really know how much we are earning and the roaster is earning, and we're educating the farmer to be able to know those prices, because at the end of the day, they are business people as well. Farming is a big business, and they have to be involved in it. So with these transparency reports, it's a good starting point to start benefiting the farmers. Then we have two specific projects. One that is supporting the farmers to process coffee in a much better way. But sometimes it's impossible because you don't have the equipment at the farm to do that. So we found that the drying was a big issue when it comes to produce a good quality coffee. So we offer a plan to the roaster. If he buys certain volumes, certain amount of money goes straight away to support the farm. So, for instance, with La Presco from Romania, he bought an okay volume amount of coffee from us, and with this we started the project, and we are sponsoring the drying beds for this young producer I mentioned called Nestor Lasso. And at the moment, we are providing him 1,000 euros to this project. Usually, these projects are around 2,000 or 3,000 euros to be able to fully sponsor a new drying system, which increases the volumes of coffee. When it's harvest, they won't have to go to the neighbor or to try to give the coffee to the cooperative to produce it. They will be able to do it. So this is the beginning of this project. But I think through improving the drying methods, through what the clients in Europe pay, I think it's a good way to start making a change. So it's so new. We just started this through Razvan's support in Romania, but you will start hearing more things about this specific project in the next few weeks and months.
Cool. But it's only the beginning for you and for everything you do. So yeah, we can definitely be patient. Can you explain what your program 6 for Farmers is and where did it come from?
Yeah, so once the COVID-19 started, all of our contracts completely stopped from the UK. And I started getting really many phone calls from the farmers.
Worried about, not being able to sell their coffees?
Yeah. And as soon as the harvest started, everyone was asking me whether if I was going to be able to sell their coffee or not. And if I didn't have 6 for Farmers, I wouldn't be able to do so. So really quickly, we created this Six for Farmers project, and to inspire roasteries in each country in Europe to purchase coffee, not only from themselves, but to make a team with one or two people to be able to purchase a good volume of coffee. Can you hear that noise? Can you hear me properly? I hear a noise in the background.
I don't know. I can hear you well.
Yeah. Okay. So so we started mentioning this project to many people, like Prolog Coffee Roasters in Denmark. Prolog mentioned something to La Cabra, and they are trying our coffees. And then we talked to guys that we really admire in the UK, which is called the Crank House, and the Girls Who Grind Coffee. And all of them really quickly started making teams. So we have now a team of 6 people in the UK. We have Fortitude Coffee in Edinburgh, the Dare Green as well. Lisa is being a great support as well. And really quickly, we're starting getting emails, people saying, this is great. We don't have the budget to buy it. High quality specialty coffee is too expensive, but if we can buy 2 or 3 bags, we'll do it. And my other mate, he can buy the same 2-3 bags, and Cata Export does a big shipment of that. So we're saving money in transport. My main issue is that most of the money doesn't stay in the farm, stays, and even not with us, it's with the transport companies. So that's why we can export small amounts. But with the big support of these roasteries I just mentioned, we were able to carry on with this Six for Farmers project. So again, it's really new. We haven't done the first exportation yet, but all of these roasteries are capping this week. Actually, we send the samples last week, and this week is the capping to decide what's the best to buy. For this project, we have chosen only female producers. We have also chosen the best quality coffee we sell. So you'll find varietals like geisha, pink bourbon, natural processes, a nice whoosh whoosh. And we want to talk really highly of these women behind the farms.
How many women do you have among the 35 farmers you work with?
14.
Okay, yeah, that's a good number.
If I'm honest, women are always involved, and I can say if I have 35 farmers, I have 35 female farmers. But you always trade with the dad, with the sons, and women are picking the coffee, processing the coffee, and plus cooking for everyone. When it's harvest, you have around 40-50 employees, and women cook for all of them and provide accommodation, cleaning. I mean, it's a lot of work. Plus, they are really, really wise when it comes to talk about coffee, and they really understand what they do at the farm is their business. So we are focusing on talking to them, trading with them, improving things and counting. For me, as a woman, is really crucial to address that. Again, I will talk about Roslyn, because one of the big things Roslyn did for me, it was to address me and the value I had as a woman, a barista woman. Like usually, I think probably 80% of the baristas in the UK are males. You go to a coffee bar, it's only the cool male barista with the tattoos making a beautiful coffee to you, and why women are not more involved in it. It's the same with farming. So because I felt that I had a voice working for Roslyn, for instance, I think through Cata Export, I want the farmers to have a voice too. So we focus on Six for Farmers with this value, actually.
Has it been difficult for you as a woman to go to farmers and being seen as a woman, as a business partner as well? Has it been difficult, and how do you deal with that if it was?
It's a bit strange, especially when I have to go with my big car and ride these rocky roads. And so is the woman that drives, is the woman that closes the business. But and Colombia is not is a bit sexist country, but my personal experience is being great. Farmers really quickly treats me like a daughter, and it becomes like a really nice close connection. So I haven't had any issue with that.
Nice. Okay. And so how do you relate now the values of specialty coffee that you got in London and your work now with your own company? Like what is specialty coffee for you now today, and what are the values that you want to bring to the farmers and to your customers?
I think that to find a good coffee, especially in a country like Colombia, is not difficult. To find a good coffee in a city like London is not difficult either. But to connect with people, to have a good connection, the communications are key to make things well. And this is one thing that we focus a lot. We never go to a farm. For instance, I never sell a coffee that I haven't visited the farm, or I haven't talked close one by one with the farmer. So yeah, I think this is a big input that I address always.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems that from the way you work and the way you select the coffees for your customers, and the way you follow the production by testing, cupping the samples throughout the season, and then listening to your end customers to find the right coffee. You're on both ends. You're listening, and you're very aware of what is going on, because you have to react quickly to a specific demand for your customers. I suppose your job is to be like, yeah, I do have what you need. I know exactly what you need. I know I have that coffee. So you have that centerpiece role, and I love the way you do your work there.
It's an amazing thing to be able to say, I have it and I can provide you with that, because the coffee in Colombia, you find any coffee you need. We are incredibly grateful to have 2 harvests. Not many countries has 2 harvests a year. I think Kenya is another one.
Right.
But Colombia is really unique in that regard. So coffee and meeting the volumes is not the issue. Benefiting a farmer is not the issue. But the issue is finding the connection, making the bridge.
Exactly. Very well. I hope everything will go well with the way it evolves with COVID. Can you tell us a little bit of the impact it had in Colombia in general, and if things will go well if we don't have a second wave anywhere, and how will the year ends for the farmers?
We haven't had the virus in the countryside yet. There are a few cases in Pitalito, Huila, but it's well managed. We don't have the virus yet, and people have more freedom to travel and to work because of that. The government in Colombia has focusing on blocking Bogota from traveling. And they have closed all the airports, so foreigners can't travel here. And we Bogotanians are trying to follow the measurements, especially me, to benefit my producers. I haven't been able to travel long distances to the places I usually travel to, which is like 13 hours away from the capital, because of that. What the farmers say to us is that they have a lack of labor, so they can't be as efficient as they would like to be. But they are feeling in a safer place. they were really scared in March and in April. At the moment, I think they have put a system in place. They are feeling more secure now. The way we consume coffee is changing. Now these big roasteries can meet the huge volumes that you normally used to have on a house blend, for instance. But it doesn't mean the trade is going to stop. It reduces a little bit, but we don't. It's a really difficult time, but we don't have. We don't feel negative about that. We're still moving coffee. We are still creating new strategies to carry on the topic live. And now that we are in the middle of a harvest, all these fresh coffees have been sent already to the UK. We are sampling the UK already and Europe in general. And so we haven't had we haven't been hit too badly about that. We try to carry on working as hard as we can and be very creative. I think being creative and communicating is key.
Right. Yeah. And I suppose the lack of pickers would mean that maybe you don't have the hands to pick the cherries as regularly as possible and as you usually do, and that you don't pick the only the ripe cherries. But I guess it depends on the size of the farm and the way it's organized. But that's how they maybe can be creative too. But I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, there is a big topic that we're going through at the moment, and we've been facing this situation maybe now for like 4 years in Colombia, which is Venezuelans moving to Colombia and to other countries in South America. So most of the labor at the moment here in Colombia, in many fields, are done by Venezuelans. And the government has strategies to help Venezuelans and all of this, but due to COVID-19, the Venezuelans are in a very critical condition in this country, so they are going back to Venezuela. And this is affecting the harvest at the moment, because if a Colombian farmer used to have 40 employees, now they have 20 because there is no labor. So employment when it comes to pickup cherries is really complicated. It's always been a struggle. But now due to COVID, it's even more difficult. So I think it's worth it to mention that if there is a negative topic, will be that the lack of labor.
Lack of labor, and it might in the end impact on the quality of the coffee this year. I suppose. I was wondering also, because you said that because of COVID, the airport is closed, so there's no visit from foreigners, and so the only way you were able to show what's going on in the farms was through social media. Do you think that people will end up not traveling that much to the origin after that, just realizing that they don't necessarily need to? Is that still a good thing for you to receive visitors? Like how do you think this will evolve after COVID?
Who knows for how long this is going to go for. The government here in Colombia has said that the airports are going to be closed until September, and the big harvest in Colombia starts in September until December. So we, as an exporter, are making a plan to be able to support specific roasteries that focusing purely on these origin troubles to secure their coffee they want. So you have companies like Bailey's in Ireland. You have in France, you have Belleville travels to origin countries. So we want to make sure we can secure a proper plan, and we will be launching this from September onwards, specifically for that harvest. So for this harvest, which is the small one, we did 6 for farmers, and then you will have another surprise from September.
Woohoo! All right, cool. That's awesome. We've learned a lot again, and all the specific information about Colombia. It's always interesting to learn how that coffee country is organized, and how you can do a job even as a very, very small team, and you can make a difference, and that's awesome. And so congratulations for what you're doing, and your love for coffee and for the farmers.
No, thank you so much. I think it's all about connecting with you guys, and this kind of talks is what make us grow. So I'm really grateful for your time and being able to give me a voice to talk about that. And just talking about giving a voice, I don't want to forget to mention a project we're working on at the moment in the UK, and it's all through Instagram. It's called the Voices of Coffee. My good friend Emma, she lives in the UK, and she's really involved with Simonelli Academy and really interesting brands that focus on educational programs, and is all very social but very relevant for the specialty industry. And we, through Voices of Coffee, we want to give a voice specifically to the farmers. So we started this week, and this month is going to be about Colombia. So we let one producer to manage the Instagram page for 1 week, and they can say anything they want. And so at the moment we have our very close friend producer Juan and Kelly, and they are talking about very interesting things live. I hope you can watch it. I won't mention much so I don't spoil it. And next we will have the owner of Finca Los Andes from Huila. Daniel is an incredible farmer as well, with his dad, Don Rodrigo. And little by little, we are building certain topics, all very honest, we are not planning much. We want the farmer just to explore through our Instagram and talk, and and then we're building Guatemala, Costa Rica, different countries in Central America and South America, and hopefully later on we'll start building Africa. But the idea is for all of you to get to know our farmers, and so and it's going to be translated in French as well, in Italian. So yeah, I think it's relevant as well.
It's going to be translated on the Instagram page, or do you have a website also?
No, purely on Instagram at the moment. So, for instance, if our videos are going to be translated in Spanish and French, English, 3 languages, and then later on you will start seeing more things. But most of the farmers we are engaged at the moment, they can speak English, but when we go further, we want to be able to just to reach you easily through translating. Mm-hmm.
It's not the English Voices of Coffee only.
Yeah, and Pierre is helping us with the French too. So
cool. So you have to follow Voices of Coffee on Instagram. You have to follow Cata Export on Instagram as well. And of course, if you can follow Rain or Shine Coffee on Instagram, and or you'll be able to listen to a great conversation here with Catalina on podcast, and watch the video on YouTube as many times as you want. And thank you very much for your time as well. And it's been a great pleasure, of course.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope we carry on working on many topics that are really relevant to all of us.
Yes.
The right time to talk about these topics. Thank you so much for giving me a voice.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be great. Of course. It's not the last time, I hope.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Hasta luego. Bye.
Bye. Ciao. Gracias.